Hey guys, Will here. Bit of an impromptu video today. As you can see, I'm not wearing my hat, and you know it's serious when I'm not wearing my hat. So yeah, a couple of things I want to cover today. We've been in the process of reviewing the new PXN VD wheelbases. We've got the 4 on the rig right now. We've also been testing the 6 and the 10, which are elsewhere at the moment. We've also, as you can see here, been testing out the Simagic Evo bases again today, as well as part of our testing process. And that's what I want to talk to you guys in a little bit more detail about today. So, as you know, a review is a snapshot in time. It's a reflection of the experience with the product that that person had at the time that they tested it out. And that is one of the big reasons why we've been putting a lot more emphasis on our written reviews and our buyer's guides more recently, because they're something that you can actually go back and retrospectively update as things change. And this is something that has stung us in the past. I remember a couple of years ago, there was we did a settings guide for Moser wheelbases, and they released a firmware update that completely changed how those bases operated. And a whole bunch of people were having a really bad experience using our settings guide, unbeknownst to us. I actually ended up discovering it on Reddit. A whole lot of people were, understandably flaming me and saying I had no idea what I was doing because they were having such a terrible experience with the settings that I'd suggested. So, yeah, ever since then, I've always taken retesting things very, very seriously and kept a much sort of closer eye on the public sentiment towards products and how closely it aligns with what we've said in our review videos. And if there's any sort of major discrepancy there over time, I know that it's time to go back and retest something. Obviously, it's not possible to be on top of every single change that happens all the time with so many products being out now. But whenever a new product like these bases releases, we always take the time, and this is something that we consider extremely important, to go back and retest anything that we'll be comparing it to, just to make absolutely sure that everything is hunky-dory and we're comparing apples with apples. And that's exactly what I've been doing today. And I did notice that the Simagic Evo bases have changed quite significantly from when we did our review video just a couple of months ago. Now, the first thing I did was, obviously test extensively again, and it's about 10:30 at night when I'm recording this. I've literally spent the entire day today, retesting everything and filming driving footage and, all the stuff that we need for our VD series review videos. But yeah, jumped in once I'd sort of got my thoughts together, went back through my written reviews and our direct drive buyer's guide and everything to make sure that what I'd said about those bases still stood true based on today's experience. And look, I still stand by everything that I said in those articles and the review video for that matter. But what I did notice is that the driving experience is a little bit more dull than it was previously. It doesn't fundamentally change the value for money proposition, but I did notice that there seems to be a little bit more almost like forced damping that is as part of that driver now. So we did our testing originally on the 207 firmware version. That has now been updated to 2.1.4. I think I've had a lot of numbers in my head today, so I might be getting that wrong. But there has been a few firmware updates since. And I also, as part of this process as well, had a look at a couple of other recent review videos, because I had noticed that public sentiment had changed a little bit as well. And I noticed in particular Danny Lee, who's a very well-respected sim racing reviewer and also makes some amazing driving guides and things like that. So I'll link his channel down below. Definitely check him out. He just recently clicked over 100,000 subscribers as well, so congratulations for that if you're watching this, Danny. But yeah, he expressed that, and this was the thing that was probably most concerning to me, is that he said as part of that review video that he'd gone into his review having watched a lot of other content creators, and I assume that our video was probably one of them, because I think at the moment if you search Simagic Evo review, our video is the first one that pops up, so it's the thing that people are most likely to see. He said that he had very high expectations going into that review based off, what he'd seen in other reviews. So, and then he went on to say that the experience that he actually had using the product was underwhelming compared to his expectations that had been set by other reviewers. And that's something that I take very seriously, because obviously, if your experience as people that are buying the products and other reviewers' experiences don't match up with what we've said in our reviews, then we've got a very serious problem. And, thankfully that hasn't happened too many times. That example I gave you is one of the only ones that I can remember. And also over the last couple of days, I've been watching a lot of another content creator called the Napman's Reviews. I actually had a video chat with him a couple of days ago, which was really interesting, and I'll have a little bit more to share on that hopefully soon as well. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of his content. He does some really interesting deep dives into the more sciencey side of things. So he's been doing a lot of things like slew rate testing, response rate testing, and really getting down and dirty into the data to really sort of demonstrate exactly what's going on behind the scenes. So if that's your kind of jam, I would definitely recommend checking out his content as well. And there is a reason why I'm recommending looking at other people's content. I know it's not a common thing for YouTubers to do, but yeah, I wanted to go through and retest these things and make absolutely sure that what we were saying was accurate. And I wanted to let you guys know that the experience has changed, and I do agree with what these other guys are saying, that there does appear to be a little bit more damping present in the firmware now that wasn't there before, and that has just dulled down the overall experience. Now, Simagic are saying that they had a few complaints from owners of the hardware that the force feedback was a little bit too over the top, and that they've toned it back a little bit in these more recent firmware versions. So that all sort of comes together, and it explains why our experience when we did our review video was a little bit different from the experience that people are having today. So I just wanted to call that out, not only to correct potentially anything that might have been wrong in our original review video based on today's experience, but also just to remind you guys a couple of things. First and foremost, a review video is only ever a snapshot in time. That is one of the weaknesses of video content. You're getting a snapshot of what it was like to own and operate that product at that particular moment. And, that's, again, like I said before, the reason why we're sort of starting to try and rely more on written content that we can update more easily on our website and cross-reference that in our review videos as well. So you will see a couple of changes on the channel with regards to that over time. As I mentioned earlier, we are, not in this video, but I have mentioned earlier, we are working on a brand new website as well, which is really exciting. We're hoping that's going to be ready to launch pretty soon, fingers crossed. So yeah, a lot of work's gone into that. But yeah, also I wanted to, I guess, and I know you guys can think for yourselves. I probably don't even need to say this, but do make sure that you're, watching other people's reviews as well. Don't just rely on any one reviewer for an opinion or even an objective analysis of a product, because people are people. We make mistakes, we miss things. We all do our best. I don't think that there's any dodgy reviewers in the sim racing industry, at least none that I've really come across. But we all focus on different things. We all have different preferences. And the best way that you guys can get the most accurate information is to watch as many videos as you can. And we're in a really good place at the moment. There's so many awesome content creators out there that are pouring their heart and soul into this hobby. And yeah, there hasn't been a better time, at least since I've been in this industry, to get a really well-balanced overall view of what a product is like to own, even before it's released into the public. So watch as many review videos as time will allow. And look, if you do come across something that we've said here at Boosted Media that you don't agree with based on your own experience, or if you've noticed something that doesn't quite line up with what other reviewers are saying, reach out and let me know. If I know about it, I can do something about it. And that Moser situation we talked about before was a really good example of this. The first I heard of it was when I started getting literally attacked on Reddit. And, I'm not blaming anybody for that. I can understand it. If people think that there's a guy out there that's just, spewing out garbage information, of course they're going to be upset by that. And, people are having a bad experience. It is what it is. But, obviously if I know about a problem, I can do something about it. And we did jump on that particular instance straight away. But we can't be across absolutely everything all the time. We do our best, of course, but we are human. And that goes for every reviewer. If you notice that something that somebody said that you don't feel is correct, let us know about it, all reviewers. And yeah, that gives us the opportunity to address it like I'm doing now. And hopefully clear anything up that might need clearing up. So that's it for today, guys. Yeah, as I said, the overall sentiment of my reviews of the Evo bases, I still stand by. I have made a couple of little tweaks to the written articles that'll be going live in the next couple of days. So there'll be a couple of little subtle changes there, but the overall value proposition hasn't changed. I do still think that they're absolutely excellent value for money bases. And yeah, we'll be comparing them to not only the PXN VD series, but also Conspit. We've got the entire ecosystem, I believe, of Conspit products sitting on the shelves over behind me there. So yeah, this place is a mess at the moment, but yeah, we're slowly getting on top of stuff. I'm gonna go to shut everything down and get some sleep. Thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, I'll see you again very soon with our review of the PXN VD4, VD6, and VD10. Have a good day, and I will see you soon. Bye.